Rockstar families, and welcome to our weekly VODCAST. As it pains me to come to you on this Sunday of what seems to be another snowstorm on our way in this terrible, terrible winter that we've been having in Virginia. You know, I was telling somebody earlier today, I moved to Virginia to get out of the snow from Pennsylvania, and it seems to have followed me here. But nonetheless, we are resilient. The Room 21 Rockstars will go with whatever Mother Nature brings us, and I'm sure that you're probably what's going to happen with the writing SOLs. I can assure you, I will get you all that information very soon. So the first announcement I have today would be the fact that I would like to recognize our Rockstar of the Week, Kyle Hinken. Kyle displayed amazing application of the writing strategies that we're learning in class to his writing prompt this past week while we were practicing during IE time. I was highly impressed by his effective effort with that. He was making such a conscious effort for that, so he was named our rock star of the week. Now, if we have a snow day tomorrow or whenever we return, ask your rock star to wear white, any white that they may have. Please do not go purchase white if you do not have any, but if they have a white shirt or anything like that, maybe even their fun run shirt, just ask them to wear that. We're going to have an exciting day of review whenever we return the first day back to prepare for the writing SOL. You'll have to ask your rockstar about it later because you know that Mr. Reichert is all about the wow factor, so I don't want to give anything away quite yet. Now, the next announcement I have, number one, I would just like to thank all of the families, all of the rock stars that came out to the Literacy Explosion on Saturday. It was an amazing time. The rock stars were really able to, show all of their strategies that they have been learning in class with the Academy and academically and bring them all together. And we really rocked it. Our school brought home the attendance award again this year, and the groups just really made me proud. I was very impressed with them. Now, barring the snow, our SOLs are scheduled for this Tuesday and Thursday. So Tuesday will be the multiple choice grammar section. Thursday will be the writing prompt section. If there is a snow day, those will be moved, but they will be rescheduled for very soon. Could possibly be Friday, could possibly be next Monday, because I know that we have to get all of those tests taken for the state by the end of next week, unless they would happen to move that back. So they will be rescheduled very, very soon if the snow hampers us. And I can assure you, Mrs. Austin assured us that, say that we have a snow day on Monday and we come back Tuesday, we will not take our test a day that we come right back from a snow break. We will definitely reschedule that so that the students can get back into the swing of things. The only thing, I have a couple of tips for great test taking, for great results. I really feel confident that the rock stars are going to do some amazing things on the writing SOL. So my tips would include a good night's rest. In my short experience in teaching, I can tell you that a good night's rest is huge for success during a regular school day, but especially when the students are taking a very important test. So get plenty of sleep. Eat a full breakfast in the morning, arrive to school on time. We'll be heading down to the testing lab as soon as the announcements finish for the day. And unfortunately, if we get into the room and somebody comes in late, they will not be allowed in the testing room and they'll have to make it up on another day according to the rules from the state. So make sure you're there on time on testing days, and just come with a great attitude. You know, if you walk into the test saying, I'm going to try my best on this, and I'm going to give it my all, and I believe that I can do amazing things with this, then the rock stars will, okay? You know, like I tell the rock stars, if they give their best effort on the test, that's all I ask for. I don't care about the result. I'm just asking for their best effort. And I feel so good about where they're at right now that I have no worries in the world. I'm so proud of the writers that your children have become. A couple of other announcements. This Thursday, March 20th, is our next Barrett Academy Family Night. I sent home the reservation form a couple of weeks ago. You can simply email me with the number that are coming as well. We just kind of need a rough estimate. We're asking 5th grade families to bring a dish or maybe a dessert, or you could bring a drink. Whatever works for you. If you're not able to bring anything but you still want to come on anyway. We're going to have a potluck. The students will be presenting their fashion shows. Their fashion show is going to be a very wonderful experience for everyone. So we hope that you can make it this Thursday, March 20th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Thank you for all of the support with the Boosterthon, everyone. We were absolutely blown away by a school. We raised a profit of $17,000 for new technology at our school, which is so exciting. It's going to help to bring us into the 21st century. Now, in your Rockstars mailboxes, if they raise pledges for the Boosterthon, is a sheet with the outstanding pledge amounts. All of the pledges are due by Friday. And that sheet will have all of it on it and kind of explain it. And I'm actually pretty sure that the folks who pledge can also just pay for it online at funrun.com if they would like to as well. Let me just check my announcements really quickly to make sure I did not miss anything. So our major focus this week is a writing SOL. During the strategy session, I'm actually going to share a couple of things that you could do, especially if we have a snow day. That would be wonderful to practice for the SOL. We'll be reviewing area, perimeter, volume this week in math, and we'll be moving on to metric and customary units of measurement across the board in measuring length, weight, capacity, etc. And we'll also be venturing into the circumference of a circle, including pi, diameter, radius, all of those wonderful things. We'll be getting onto all of those. So now I'm going to turn you over to the strategy session. I will see you on the other end. Okay, Room 21 Rockstar family, so I'm actually going to be starting off today in person to do a little bit of math. And this is something that can be applied right in the home. And I'm actually going to give a few house points for this if you would be interested in looking at it. So last week we started volume, okay? And the only thing we're working on in volume this year in 5th grade is the volume of a rectangular prism. So you're going to need a ruler for this if you have one, or a tape measure, or anything that you may have, maybe something in the garage, and just a rectangular prism. Here I have a box of Wheaties. I just took this out of my kitchen. This is a rectangular prism. Why is it a rectangular prism, Rockstars? Do you remember why we call something a rectangular prism? Yes, because it's 3D, number one. Okay, so it's a prism. It's three-dimensional, meaning it has dimensions of length, width, and height. And it has all faces of this box are rectangles. Now, they're different sizes. They're not congruent. But every face of this box is a rectangle. Now, something that we were really kind of working on last week, and it took a little bit of time initially, was to kind of tell the difference between what is length, what is width, and what is height, okay? Because when we were first practicing volume of a rectangular prism this past week, we were really looking at drawings on paper. So they were drawn three-dimensionally, but it was kind of hard to determine the differences. So if you're willing to, you can get 5 house points for this activity. Now you're going to have to bring in the box, or take a picture of it or draw it. You don't even have to bring it in. I want you to practice determining the length, the width, and the height of something. Now, the height last week we talked was pretty easy because that's up and down. You know, if you go to the doctor and get measured for your height, that's up and down. So this is the height of the box. Okay. Now, the length and the width are the hardest. But here is my trick. I find the base of the box. You know, how does that box sit in the grocery store? It sits just like this on the shelf. This is my base. So what I have to do is I have to find the width and I have to find the length. Now, like we said last week, the length is normally longer than the width, but not always. Okay, so you're actually going to have to take your ruler, and I'm going to use mine in inches today. I'm going to line that up right there on the 0 mark. And then I'm going to have to measure, and that's my length, guys. And then I'm going to have to take my ruler and measure it with the width. Okay, and then I'm going to have to take my ruler with the height. So I have length, width, and height. And last week we talked about the strategy for finding volume equals length times width times height. So you will actually have to take the actual measurements this time around. You know, they're not just going to give them to you on the box. And then you can figure out the volume, which is what, guys? What is the volume? Yeah, it's how much space. How many cubic units could fit in here? So if I took those little tiny cubes that we have in school and filled them up inside of here and stacked them in until they came the whole way up, that would tell me how many cubic units would fit in here. Okay? So if you bring this in, Tell me what you were measuring. You can get yourself 5 house points. Now I'm going to turn you over to a little bit more volume work, guys, and then we're going to turn over to total writing. Okay, Room 21 Rockstar family, so I'm starting off today on the Class Fusion page. A couple of announcements, as you can see, would be the family night, the writing SOL, things that we've already talked about, but I want to start off really quickly with math, which is down here under Class News, under Calculating Volume. If you click on this, this is a great site to continue practicing calculating the volume of cubes and rectangular prisms. So, in this case, the Rockstars are given the dimensions, the width, the length, and the height. And obviously, our formula is volume equals length times width times height. And then they're going to find their measurement in cubic something. So in this case, it's cubic millimeters. If you want to get 2 house points per problem for this, guys, here's what I need you to do. It's actually rather simple. Let me quickly just pull up my desk scribbler. There we go. And let me select a little bit of ink. So what you guys can do if you want to earn 2 house points per problem that you complete on this site, you can draw the rectangular prism. And in this case, you know, it doesn't have to look exactly like this one does, but we do need to know that it's 3D and not 2D, a square or a rectangle. So here's my rectangular prism. It's nothing pretty, but I am going to measure the dimension. I'm going to label the dimensions. So 6 millimeters would be here. And then 10 millimeters is my length, and then 10 millimeters is my height. And then I'm obviously, if you want to earn the 2 house points, guys, you know what we were practicing last week in class was writing the full formula out. So volume equals length times width times height. And you write it down, going down, as we did with order of operations. That's really important if you want to get the house points for that. Now, you can go through here, 2 house points per problem if you would like. I'm just going to go ahead and erase this and take us back to the Kate Waller-Barrett web page. Let me see if it'll let me go back. There we go. Now, I'm going to now turn our attention over to writing. I have a couple of different writing resources on the site that would be excellent for your child to use at home. And actually, they're under the Rockstar Documents section, under the writing folder. Now, the first one, since I was out on Friday with Barrett Academy, I gave the substitute a kind of a packet of writing SOL review. And the Rockstars could complete it for 20 house points. Now, it was lengthy, and that's why I gave it that many. Not everyone took it. So I am providing it here. If your Rockstar did not take it and would like to do it at home, especially if we're going to have a snow day on Monday, this would be something excellent to do in the home. This really focuses on the grammar. These are some SOL lookalike questions. Then we have some work with apostrophes, including contractions and possessives, some interjections, some adjectives and adverbs, some quotation marks, a release prompt. This is a really good one, guys. This was actually used very recently by the state as a prompt. Think of someone who is brave and write to describe this person and explain how he or she is brave. Now, the important part about this Rockstar families that we've been talking about in class is, number one, it tells us to write to describe. Oh, I'm sorry about that. That is a huge marking. And then it tells us to explain how he or she shows bravery. So it's kind of a 2-part question, and that's something really important. The Rockstars have been doing a great job with it, but that would be good practice to do in the home. And then there's a practice paragraph with some TEI questions. And the TEI questions on the SOL are where the Rockstars will actually click the comma and drag it up to where it belongs. So it's kind of really testing, do they know this or not? So this is 20 house points. I did put it up on the website in case your Rockstar did not take it on Friday. Here it is. And you can actually pause the screen here if they just want to write it down. If you do not have the capability to print at home, you can also write it down and pause the screen. I'll just show each section of it really quickly here for you. Now, a couple of other areas that you may want to look at with your Rockstar at home on these snow days would include, the other area here is grade 5 writing prompts under the writing folder. Once again, these are all of the prompts that have been used in the past. Now, the Rockstars know that Mr. Reichert is not a fan of prompts, and they're only going to have to answer one. And I'm not saying to by all means, write responses to all of these. It might be a good idea to ask your rock star, hey, what part of writing does Mr. Riker want you to work on the most? Maybe it's a hook, or maybe it's a closing, or maybe it's including descriptive detail, or maybe it's transition. So they could take one of these prompts and they could just write that portion to it, or maybe show your brainstorming for this prompt. If the rock stars do that, they can get 2 house points per prompt that they show me. And once again, this is an endless list of prompts. We've actually used a lot of these in class, so challenge your rock star to look for one that maybe we didn't look at yet this year. Now I'm going to take us back one more step here. Let me just go back through the old-fashioned way to Mr. Riker's Rockstars Fusion page. Last week I actually put the sample tests that the Rockstars could take under the class news of writing out SOL practice. We've used a lot of these in school, but you once again could use a lot of these. We're not under the reading, remember. And we've already done 2011, 2010, and 2009 in class. So try to stay down in this area. But once again, these are good practice items if the Rockstars would like to use them in the home. Let me just take us back to the class fusion page. And that's about all the writing review I have. I have to tell you, families, that I'm so confident that the Rockstars are really going to do an amazing job on the writing SOL that I'm not trying to pile on all of this stuff for them to do at home with it. They're really going, they've shown some great growth this year in writing, and we're not going to stop writing when the writing SOL is done, by all means. We will continue to develop as writers, and I'm so proud of how far that they have come. I'm going to send you back over to Mr. Riker, and I hope that these strategies were useful to you, and we'll see you later. Okay, Room 21 Rockstar families, I hope that those strategies were successful. Let me know if they're working at home, if it's too much, too little. Like I said, the focus this week was really on writing. Since our writing SOL is this week, and then we'll be transitioning back to all of the subjects at the conclusion of this week. I hope this VODCAST finds you with no more snow, but I'm feeling like it's actually going to arrive. We're going to have a wonderful week in Room 21, Rockstar families, and I have to tell you, I am so grateful for your support in showing up to events that we have on weekends and in the evenings. I just could not ask for better families, and that is why you are the best families in Stafford County, regardless of what anyone says. And I will see you next week.